and we are trying to understand the legal and sociological implications of this particular book. And then, I don't know if you noticed that all of a sudden, a lot of people that never showed interest or had interest in reading started reading over during the week because of this book. I don't know if they really read or they were reading commentary though, but they were making their own assessment of this particular book and the content on social media. This afternoon, we'll also be taking a look at reading, how to encourage reading and writing among Ghanaians. Yeah, and so this afternoon right here, we have in the studio Oswald Okaite. He is the organizing secretary for the Ghana Association of Writers. And then we also have a lawyer and family life counselor, Kweku Iyamwa Pencil, right here in the studio. We'll be joined by Dr. Peace Mamle Tete, who is a senior lecturer at the Department of Sociology at the University of Ghana, Legon. And also online, we'll be having the Assistant Executive Secretary of the Ghana Publishers Association join us on Zoom as well. So it's a packed show, and as usual, I have my Uncle Ken right here seated, and we'll be doing the discussion right about now. You can send your messages right here through to 055-1111-997, 055-1111-997. Showbiz A to Z. My name is Kwame Dadzie. Show produced by Philip Nye, assisted by Anita Tai, and we have Fly Nima Boy helping with social media this afternoon. And the show is sponsored by MTN Everywhere You Go and the Superstar multi-fruit drink. Now let's get going. Good afternoon to you. Uncle Ken, lawyer, Yamwa, and then Oswald. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kwame.
Let me start with you, Uncle Ken. Uncle Ken, what's up?
Kwame, so what's up?
What's up, Uncle Ken?
Yeah, everything's up.
Everything is up.
Yes.
And Charlie,
everything's up. It's been
this week,
plenty. It's been a very interesting week.
Yeah.
But I first of all just have to also express my sincere condolences to the family of a lady I had never met or had an encounter with in any form, and just happened to read about her demise on social media this week.
Cynthia Kwaku?
Yes, I'm talking about. And I asked myself, how come I don't know this woman? Because every single testimony about her was so touchy. Yeah. And I realized here was a woman that was loved by the industry people.
Yeah.
I felt so bad. I had never encountered her, but seeing pictures of her smile, and all the good things that were said about that woman got me very emotional, even though I didn't know her. So I want to express my sincere condolences to her family and to all those that she touched so much in her lifetime.
She offered legal services to people like Reginald Stone, Sarkodie, and Edem.
I hear.
Samini, a lot of them.
I asked myself, so how come I've never heard of this woman? But you see, that shows the composure of the woman.
Yeah.
Much as she wanted to help people, she was not the in-your-face type of person.
True.
That's how
But she was very instrumental.
but very instrumental in shaping people's lives. And I really share in the grief of all those who actually got to know her or got close to her. And,
may her soul rest in peace. And so, Uncle Ken, did you read or have you read Yvonne Nelson's book?
No, I haven't.
But you follow the commentary on social media.
I have simply decided to stay back and allow things to simmer
before,
and maybe even die down before I decide to get myself into that book.
Okay,
and I'll tell you why.
Okay,
one of the reasons is that book came to me as a big shock for only one reason. Reason being, I got interested in following Yvonne when I got to know who her father was, or the father was supposed to be.
Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Nelson. And you remember, Yvonne sat in this studio a few weeks ago and I told her all the good things I knew about her father. And, but that's how I met Yvonne previously. And so I have liked Yvonne because I knew the supposed father then.
Okay.
And I followed Yvonne and I was so interested in her. And every time we meet, we take pictures. I have pictures with Yvonne. Every time we talk, And I was so shocked because I sat here with Yvonne barely 3 months ago. If you remember when she was here with...
I remember.
Was he?
Was it? One
no, not Van.
Was it Majid?
Majid.
Yes, Majid.
Yes.
Majid.
And
Spoke about the
promoting
Fire
a movie.
ban and all that,
Yes, and they were promoting a movie. They came to promote a movie. And I sat close to Yvonne here and I said all the good things and how we had fun with her father back in the day, how her father was instrumental, in the way we shaped fashion and stuff like that. And so it came to me as a shock. I said to myself, but I sat here with Yvonne. She never told me anything.
She was writing the book then.
That's why I was shocked, So I've decided to shelve this and wait till everything dies down before I really get into it. Because, Kwame, to tell you the truth, the controversies are mind-blowing. I mean, they've just got me, my whole mind, messed up. And I would like to simmer down and take it easy. It's hers. She decides what she wants to write. And so I have no qualms about what she has done or what she has said. I just want to take my time.
But anyways, we'll get into it, so don't worry. Let me come to you, Oswald Okaite. He's a writer, he's a poet, a playwright, and also the organizing secretary for the Ghana Association of Writers. My brother, how are you?
I'm good, Kwame. Today you have to call me Kwame.
Oh, okay. You are Kwame too.
I told you the last time.
Okay. Have you read the book? Have you seen snippets on social media? Have you seen the commentary and everything?
Yeah, the snippets not so well, but I've started reading. I think I'm on chapter 2. In fact, I started reading just yesterday. And for me, I don't find anything so wrong. This could be in a movie.
Okay.
It could be someone could get it translated into arts. And the unfortunate thing is people may not be able to interpret a lot. That is a life. That is how she lived. Everyone has a life he or she has lived or is living.
Okay.
We don't know. So if I decide to let you know what my life existence has been, I don't think there's a problem about it. Anyway, we can't change it. This is more like a flashback. She's not writing to attack someone in the future or now, but she's telling us this is what has happened with my life.
Kwame,
Uncle Ken,
can I ask Kwame a simple question?
No, so we don't get confused. He's Oswald.
Okay, but he says you should call him.
No, he's Oswald.
You can say Kwame Oswald.
Kwame Oswald. I like that. Kwame Oswald, you said that you think this should be, the book should be shot as a film.
No, I'm saying it could be.
It could be.
So,
based on a couple of chapters that you have read. Or
no,
are you basing it, because you just said you've only read 2 chapters.
Yes.
And are you basing it upon the commentary that has come
I'm sure he's talking about the fact
book,
that the story...
or from your 2 chapters?
So you see, what I'm trying to mean is...
you answer.
What I'm trying to mean is when you listen to music, it has a storyline.
Right.
And it could be life lived by the musician.
Okay.
Or by someone. And so for me, I see this to be a piece of art. In any way, writing is a genre in arts. And this is how someone decides to unfold her story.
Correct.
So I'm not. It could be. I just mentioned it could be in a film.
Because of the 2 chapters. I really
not really about the chapters.
You get my point. Yeah. But I really want to know whether it's because of the
what
2
I'm saying
chapters,
is,
or from the commentary that you've heard.
Not the commentary.
Surrounding
First,
the
what
book.
I want to mention is the way someone is giving flashback.
Okay.
To her life.
Okay.
And it could have different forms.
Okay.
She has chosen it should be in the book.
All right. Still here, Joe 99.7 FM Showbiz A to Z. And this afternoon, we're talking about Yvonne Nelson's book, I'm Not Yvonne Nelson. We're taking a look at the legal and sociological angles of this particular book, or the content, and what it covers, what it tells us. We'll be doing that right here. Let me move straight to lawyer Kweku Yamwa Pencil, and then speak to. Hello.
Hi.
Also on frame Dadzie.
Hey,
My name is Dadzie. Also Dadzie.
Dadzie.
Iron.
That is so.
Yeah.
You're now abrofilizing.
No, the man, yeah. Okay, so I'm sure you've also read the book, and we are doing this one with you from a legal perspective. I know there are so many things to say about this particular book, but let me ask you in the first place: if someone wants to write a book, and the book mentions different people, does the person have to go seek permission from all these people before?
Not at all. You don't need anybody's permission to do anything in this life, except, of course, for copyright purposes and wherever. But talking about general commentary or your experience, you don't need anybody's permission to do anything. And I think you also assume that I read the book. I know two things about the book. The first is, of course, the title,
Right.
which is what I got on the social media post, which is I'm not Yvonne Nelson. I mean, that's the title.
Exactly.
And I think the other thing that I found out, which caught a lot of attention, was an alleged relationship with a hip hop star. You know what I'm saying?
Artist.
A hip hop artist, and that
life artist,
he
yeah.
impregnated her, and she aborted, and she has regretted. That's the only bit. Every day I spend just about 15 minutes on Ghana Web. That's where I get my news about Ghana. But talking about the book
And then
itself,
MyJoyOnline.com too. We have.
well, I do, and that's what I do, and that's where I got the bit, because there was a time that I realized that I was completely lost in this country. Things happen I don't even seem to know.
Right.
Ebony died. People say Ebony. I said, who is Ebony? And everybody was looking at me. Then Kaba died. Everybody was Kaba. I said, who is Kaba?
You didn't know.
And so from that point, I decided every day I spend at least from 15 to 20 minutes joy and whatever. That's how
Catching up
much.
with the news.
That's how much I can afford to catch up with
Nice
Ghana
one.
news.
Nice one.
And of course, if I have to latest radio, it has to be Joy FM. I mean, Joy FM.
Of
That's
course,
about it.
of course.
I mean, that's it. That much. So that's a little bit that I know about Yvonne Nelson's book and the controversy about her autobiography. Prior to that, I've always seen her on media. I've seen her on CNN. And some CNN, they have a particular program about Africa. I've seen her, and I've always admired her. She's, beautiful ashes. She's quite beautiful. If she doesn't know, I'm telling her. I've always observed her from that distance. She's the kind of
she is.
woman everybody would like to be associated with.
Sure.
So that's the little bit I know about her. I may even want to know her in person, not for any other motive, but for the fact that she's God's creation.
Okay.
And that's about how much I can say for now.
Hey, lawyer,
From
lawyer.
a legal perspective,
Lawyer.
from a legal perspective,
Yes.
if somebody writes or publishes a book out there,
Yes.
and then another person thinks that there were certain things written in the book that were maybe bad about them,
You're very right.
can they take any action? Take them to court? Can they cause the book to be withdrawn from the market, from the stores?
Well, it borders on the law of defamation. Defamation is essentially anything, whether published or said, about somebody which tends to lower the reputation of that person in the estimation of what we call the reasonable people in the society. So if you do or cause any publication to be made of anybody which the person takes objection to, then it's not just a mere objection. For it to be defamatory, then there are elements in law. The publication must be based on, wrong facts. In other words, the publication must be untrue. It must be untrue, saying something which are not true. Because the elements of the law of defamation makes it that if there's a publication which is true, that's what we call justification. We say truth does not defame. If we're a thief and I call you a thief, it is not defamation. If you had an affair with me, as you probably, maybe that's the most, I wouldn't say scandal, the most sensational part of what I've read is to allege that another man slept with her, failed to take responsibility, and by reason of the man's failure to take responsibility, she was compelled to abort the pregnancy. There are so many legal issues that arise in there. But for purpose of defamation, if the gentleman against whom the statement were made thinks that those statements are somehow offensive to him, then it's not enough for him to go to court. For him to be able to go to court, he must be able to say that those statements that she made about her are not based on true facts, and that those untruths have tarnished his image in the minds of the right-thinking people in the society, and so forth and so on. And of course, that damages his reputation to a point where the court ought to award damages to him. These are all elements that he must go to court to prove. I wouldn't know, because I've not read the entire book, I wouldn't know what else that people are offended with or they claim are not. It's not, the law is not about saying good things about people all the time. The law is about what you say which are untrue. And therefore, that is the bottom line. Whatever anybody takes of her book will be the person's opinion. But to be able to maintain an action in court for an order, of course, if as you ask the question whether somebody can call the book, for instance, to be withdrawn.
Yeah.
You don't remember, don't forget that our own ex-head of state, Rawlings, one professor, I've forgotten his name, published a book about him, or published the book, and there were references to him which he considered offensive. And there was a court action that he brought, and part of it was for the book to be withdrawn. I know that eventually that matter was settled out of court with some agreement that required that some portions of the book will be re-edited and so forth and so on. And so that is how these issues can arise. And therefore, if anybody believes that the book contains some untruth, which are unpleasant, which are hurtful of that person and damages the person's reputation, the initial action will be to bring an action before the court of law, and obviously in an action for defamation, as a part of the interim reliefs, he may require or seek an order of court that until the matter was resolved, the book may be withdrawn from the market. But obviously, whether the court, I think even in America, it rolled out. I remember a few books that were published, and I think President Trump, I think it's time a few people published some, even his own secretary, the defense, what do you call it? I think it's defense secretary published, and so there are all kinds of laws. Okay. I mean, depending on what level. Because some may contain state secrets and so forth. I think that's what rolled out in America. Yeah. That the book contains certain state secrets which ought not to come to the market. But bringing it to the context in which we have brought ourselves, talking about Yvonne Nelson's book, which is more or less a social commentary on her relationship and her upbringing and her lifestyle and so forth. And so anybody who is not happy, and if you can point to a particular portion of the book that you believe is untrue, that's where the course of action begins.
Okay, now let's go to the abortion part.
Yes.
Are there any legal implications in somebody admitting or talking about an abortion she committed some years ago in a book?
Well, I think she has admitted to having committed a criminal offense. And whether the state will take up the matter, whether the state will take up the matter.
Is it criminal to have an abortion?
That is so ignorant.
Even if it's at a recognized
it depends on the conditions under which.
There are limits.
Medication.
There are limits.
Depends on the
There are limits
conditions.
within which you can commit an abortion. So she has confessed to a crime, and that's her own confession. But essentially, because we are all not comfortable with abortion, please, within the context that she made a statement, I mean, she's talking about her reaction to a situation. Whether her reaction to a particular situation was reasonable or unreasonable is another matter altogether. In other words, not everybody who will react to that situation in the same way that she did. The fact that somebody failed or somebody did not, because, see, I don't even sit here as a lawyer only. I'm also a minister of God and a counselor. And I will tell you in the very first place that what she did was a sin. Because we have crime and we have sin. So if I want to comment, that's the point. Because in the first place, you are admitting to, what do you call it? What do you call it? The sin of fornication. Okay? You were not married, but you engaged in sex. Okay? And once you have done that, you went to the next level to commit abortion because the man decided. It's a natural consequence.
Lawyer,
yes.
Wouldn't we be judging
I
at
love
this
to
point
judge.
in time?
You know, people are
Are
always
we-
quoted. Let me tell you what. People are saying, do not judge, so that you will not judge. But the Bible says an open rebuke is better than hidden laugh.
But Kwame,
But suppose she's not a Christian.
Yes.
She need not be a Christian. From our standpoint, please, you see, let's get the point
Suppose
very
she's
clear.
not a
She
Christian.
Okay,
need
so
not be a
she
Christian.
so so lawyer, let's look at the legal implications.
Let's talk about law.
Let's talk
so
about the
I
legal
told you that
implications.
she has admitted
Yes.
to having committed a crime by telling the whole world that she committed abortion.
Yeah.
And don't forget that, I mean, criminality has got no time limit for its prosecution. In other words, if the state decides that they want to prosecute her for committing an
Kwame,
abortion,
please, this one I beg. Lawyer, please
Yes.
let me understand
Do.
why you are saying that taking action with the abortion is criminal. Why is it criminal?
because our laws make abortion criminal.
All forms of abortion?
Not all
We
forms,
haven't-
though.
we
There
haven't
are
come to
conditions
that
under
yet.
which
we
you
have,
can commit.
We haven't come to that yet.
Yes, but that's my point. So how can we just say she has committed a criminal offense?
Because lawyer, she was silent on whether she went through any.
So let's give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. You are asking me the legal implication of the state.
Exactly.
So there's a possibility.
possibility
So
that
let's call
perhaps
some
she went through the
possibility.
other side of it.
You're very right. The other
But
thing.
you were emphatic, lawyer.
Well,
That's why I was a bit worried. Because
Please
you
don't be
seemed
worried.
emphatic.
There will be good reasons to be worried as you go on. But you know, and as a matter of law, we cannot say, for instance, that the gentleman is an accessory to the crime,
Okay.
or assume it was a crime, or to the wrongdoing, or to what she did. Because, like I said, different people react to different things. I mean, the same thing in different ways. We know a lot of women who never had fathers for their children, and they nonetheless went ahead and have them. But there's a good point in what she had written, which I read, which was that, with the benefit of hindsight, if she had opportunity today, she wouldn't have done what she did at the time that she did. So maybe she has some regret, but having regrets is not enough. I mean, I say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You must have all the good intentions and still end up doing all the wrong things. So there's some form of sympathy that we can have with her. I'm very sorry that for all the beauty, she's a troubled person. And that, I mean, of course, makes the point that we always make. Shakespeare said it. I mean, you cannot look at somebody's face and be able to tell what is really in that person's mind. And there are a lot of people running around in our cities which have the appearance of living a good life, but they are troubled and require people to sit down with them and re-engineer, bring them back to reality, and so forth and so on. But as for the legalities, as we go forward, as the issues come up, I'll respond to them
Okay.
to the point of substance.
Okay. So can any of the people mentioned in the book say that, okay, because of the mention of my name in the book, you've sold a certain number of copies, and that is why you are selling you are selling your
It
book.
can be.
You are using. Can't anybody come and say, okay, because you mentioned me, your book is doing well on the market, so give me a share of the proceeds?
There's no course of action like that. There's no such course of action. If you decide to publish a book, you see, it's a balancing of so many freedoms. The freedom of speech, the freedom of expression. But in law, we also say that someone's freedom ends where someone's, we say that your freedom ends where somebody, I'm trying to make it.
begins.
Yes, where somebody is this. Your freedom ends where someone's nose begins. In other words, you can throw your arms everywhere, every way you want it, but as long as it does not touch somebody's nose. That's how it is. You can publish as long as you don't defame anybody. The question that you pose could only come within context where people have made attributes, in other words, quoted from others' books without their permission and so forth and so on. That's the proper context in which those issues can arise. But the fact that you are very popular, I made reference to you as a good friend of mine or whatever. But how do you even tell that because of that the book says? That's so remote. It's so remote that even if you went to court and the court has to assess, then your case would be that you are entitled to something. How would the court even assess it? In those the circumstances, it will be difficult. But the answer to your question is a no.
Okay. Let me come to the writer here. Before you talk about what you want to talk about right now, let me ask you, as a writer, before you put together any story, any book, whatsoever, what is the process like? What do you go through? What do you consider?
So you see, one, we have two.
And that is Oswald Okaite,
we have
aka
two forms
Kwame.
of writing. There's a fiction and non-fiction.
Okay.
So assuming this is not memoir. This memoir
Yes.
is non-fiction.
It's non-fiction, yeah.
If she had passed on, God forbid, and people were to write tribute and they know all of this, and they deem it fit, they would have written in the biography to be read. She decides to write it herself and bring to light what is hidden in darkness.
In our society, it's quite unusual for people to write the negative side of their life.
So that is why a memoir gives that opportunity. So the person in context decides that I want this known. You get me? Now you have to define your plots. You have to define your characters. You have to define your setting in order to make your readers enjoy. So I've always said that writing, or what a story you read in book, is like a film in print. So same way you're going to put things in order to make people appreciate any form of art, be it film, be it music, is what we also take into consideration whenever we are writing. Kwame, I hope you are with me. And so you have to find what you want to achieve. What is the objective for writing?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get it executed? What parameters do I need to bring into existence in order to execute whatever objective I want to do? So that is the basis for writing. Of course, that helps you to put your thoughts together. How you're able to connect one story to the other and to make your storyline quite interesting. So most importantly, like any other thing, there is an objective you want to meet. And that's what you put yourself together towards.
Okay, still here. Showbiz A to Z, Joe 99.7 FM. I'm here with Uncle Ken Dadzie, who is a broadcaster, former artist manager, also in the studio with lawyer Kweku Yamwa Pencil. He's a lawyer and a family life counselor. Oswald Okaite is organizing secretary for the Ghana Association of Writers. He's a writer, he's a playwright, and also a poet. Later on, we'll be joined on Zoom by Dr. Peace Mamle Tete, who is senior lecturer at the Department of Sociology, University of Ghana, Legon, and assistant executive secretary of Ghana Publishers Association, who is Ernest Opon. We also have here Chief Moomin. Yeah, Chief Moomin is also our brother and a regular pundit here, and he has joined us. Chief. Yes, Charlie, what's up?
Yes, sir. Good evening. I just came from a very good interaction. I mean, since we're even talking about literature with Professor Sutherland.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm sure you know Professor Sutherland. Yes, Auntie AC. And we had a wide range of conversations, and also talked about Panafest, which is coming up. So it was a very good conversation. I nearly didn't leave, but I said, okay, I have to come for the show.
Awesome.
So yes, yeah.
But I hope you've been following social media commentary
digitally.
Yes,
I mean,
on the bigger story.
Well, is it the biggest story? I mean, the publication, yeah, like Uncle Ken, myself. I mean, I've not read it, and even if no, you said you are waiting for things to simmer.
I'm only asking if you heard me.
Yeah, I mean, I follow. I always follow.
He was listening.
Yes.
He was listening.
No, even if I intended to read it, I wouldn't have even read it at this point in time, because now it's so much sensationalism around it, and at some point in time when the hysteria dies down and there's an opportunity and I feel like it, I'll definitely. I mean, I have a stack of autobiographies and biographies that I haven't even been able to go through, but I mean, my initial comment is that, well, I mean, it's good for her, I mean, to document her story and put it out there. Bold of her for her to make all the revelations. I mean, writing is sometimes also making yourself vulnerable, so putting herself out there, you know, for people to dissect. And I'm happy that comments have come that let's look beyond. Right now is the sensationalism that is selling the book, or that is selling the idea of the book has been published. And I hope that it manifests in substance. So I'd like to I mean, how many copies they're able to sell, you know, over a period of time, which I think is good. So first of all, I think it's a good attempt, you know, to put in her work. And I think it may actually encourage a number of, you know, our popular actors and musicians to actually also want to put out their own
Some of them are writing.
Some of them are writing.
Ajite Anana is releasing his.
Yeah. But as I said, I just hope that beyond, and I've seen a lot of comments that this is her life story, her journey, her way of dealing with her own grief and issues like that. And we're all broken. I mean, Pastor said a lot of people are out there broken. Well, he's here as a lawyer, but everyone is broken in one way or the other. And you cannot have a perfect human being in any way. And being vulnerable is part of being human. Being broken is part of being human. But the most important thing is how we put ourselves together when we encounter, those challenging moments in our life. And if everyone if everyone writes a book, everyone will have a story to tell, story of joys, of pains, of triumphs, and of defeat. So congratulations to Yvonne for the boldness of putting her work out there and her life out there, if I may say.
Okay, let me come back to you, lawyer Kweku Yamwa Pencil. So let's go back to the Sarkodie bit that I asked earlier on. So when I asked whether if Sarkodie thought that there was a misinformation or any wrong information out there in the book, if he could take any legal action against Yvonne Nelson. If there is, what would be the process?
Now, I mean, in an action for defamation, like I already said, essentially all you're trying to suggest is that somebody by some statement, this time in writing. And please let me clarify that defamation consists of libel and slander. Slander is spoken words, and libel is when it is in print.
Yeah.
So in this case, what you're suggesting is that somebody has said something in print that defames you in the sense that it lowers your image in the right thinking member of society. In other words, you are saying that the reputation that you're entitled to, that publication has lowered it. So the burden is for you to demonstrate to what extent, in what way, because a man is not entitled to a reputation that he doesn't have. There are cases that people can win in court on the basis that what even somebody published was untrue. But then the court will still not give you any damages for the reason that your reputation is not worth anything. But you ask me a simple question. So in order to do so, you must bring an action in the court. And like I said, in your statement of claim, you must demonstrate that this person has made. And please, defamation consists of actual words, not paraphrasing. The particular expression that is in the book, the quote, whether it could be a whole chapter or it could be a particular place. If you quote a whole chapter, you are out of range.
That is if you are quoting what somebody else has said. But if you are reporting an action that took place,
you can't paraphrase. You
that's a
cannot
different thing.
paraphrase a part of what somebody has said, because it is about the meaning that people put on the particular words. The meaning. Because first you must state the quote. You must state the meaning that people make of the quote. Sometimes your own idea of the meaning may be so unnatural that the court will not agree. That people reading this, what meaning did they put on those particular words? And when you have the money, you must also go ahead. In Ghana, defamation is what we call actionable per se. In other words, once you're able to prove that some statement has injured your reputation, then it follows that damages follow as a matter of natural consequence. But the ability to prove the injury or the damage is also very critical, because that will reflect what award of damages that the court can give you. Then listen, it's not enough having said that. The defendant, the person who sued, has the defenses known to law. The first, not in any particular order, is that of justification. Justification is truth. That what I said is not only true, but true in fact. Two, we've got what we call fair comment. Fair comment is an allegation which is based on truth. That's a comment made on a truth. In other words, the words must exist. I mean, whatever you said, the story, the narration that you made must be true in fact, and make comments upon it. Fair comment. Then we also have got privilege, but privilege doesn't come here. Privilege are context where people are allowed to make statements in parliament, in reports of committees of inquiries and wherever. Everything that people will say or publish in those things are not liable to be brought into the court to seek reliefs. Then the defendant is entitled, once he has made those statements, you then, in order to succeed, I'm talking about the plaintiff, in order to succeed, you must demonstrate that the person was actuated by malice. was actuated by malice. And malice is a question of fact. You must prove. For instance, if I report a matter I report a matter which is based on sources, the question then would be, what reasonable steps did I take to verify the accuracy of those statements? So, in other words, you have to demonstrate the person was reckless. The publication that was made, the sources that the person relied upon, he did not check the truth of those matters and put them out there in the public for people to take them as statements of facts when indeed they were untrue. So the person who goes to court has a burden. The burden is even heavier than whoever did the publication. So in the context of this matter, I wouldn't know what Sarkodie would be saying, whether he didn't have the sex with her, or when he had a sex, he didn't think that pregnancy was going to come out of it. And therefore, with due respect, and with that, I mean, just making assumption based on what I've read, I don't honestly believe that Sarkodie can maintain an action for defamation. The only circumstance I can maintain, the fact that it's embarrassed is no business. It's not a court business. Your embarrassment is nobody's embarrassment. Because if you did it, you did it. And if you didn't do it, then you have an action that she has put you out there. And therefore, she's making you appear like some sex monger or obviously, and so forth and so on. But if you did what she said you did, and you dumped her, and so forth and so on, I wouldn't know whether the defense would be the dumping aspect, that he didn't dump her or whatever. I wouldn't know what we're saying, but these are not intended to prejudge any matter. That I'm making suppositions based on the facts that I have read on social media. So I don't honestly believe, in my personal view, that given the facts, but like I've said, this is the caveat. If he has reason to believe that anything that she published is untrue, then he can set off. And when he set off, I've shown you the limitations within which. Maybe I may go further to add that the other defense to an action for defamation is limitation. Under our laws, if it's slander, you must bring a cause of action before the court within 2 years. If it is, in this case, libel, then you must bring it within 3 years. If after the 2 years, after the 3 years, you have not brought the action in court, too bad. The first day after the 3rd anniversary of this publication, you can't go to court. No judge is going to listen to you. So if you have to go to
after
court,
the publication,
that is all. When it got your attention, and of course, when you go to court, you are going to demonstrate to the court how that statement lowered your image. What is your image? What is your reputation?
Oh wow! You need to prove.
Naturally, you must have a reputation that must have been soiled. Maybe you must even demonstrate that you were in the seminary. So you were incapable of even, as part of your ministerial calling, you were incapable of even engaging in the conduct that you are being alleged to have called. Because obviously, with due respect, if someone is in a seminary and it was said of him that he has, come on, it's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. But unfortunately, in the entertainment world that we have, where all the things that we read on social media, if there's anything to go by, I'm wondering who or which of these stars can really maintain an action for the kind of statements that Yvonne Nelson has made. Indeed, if it's not true, people will believe it. I believe it. I mean, that's the way I look at it. So that's the way it is. But this is the no. What I'm saying is that, listen, don't forget that, we live in societies, and people, that's what we call prejudice, okay? We call it prejudice.
Okay.
So it may not be right, but I'm saying that the kind of things that we read, you start with a heavy prejudice, and then it means that the burden, the duty of trying to, take yourself out of it, become part of your burden. Yes, that's the point I'm trying to make, but it doesn't mean that any time that they say you have done this, it fits you. I haven't said that.
All right. Thank you, lawyer Kweku Iyamwa Pencil there.
But if you permit me, you know,
Yes.
my good friend made a statement about
Oswald.
Yes. You know, and you also said that the things that shall probably were kind of unfortunate. I don't believe it is so.
Which
Listen
ones,
to
please?
me. Life is real. And it's about time that we say what really goes on.
Okay.
You know, this kind of packaging, making it, honestly, until this publication came out, we all thought she had a perfect life. But once in a while,
nobody does. Nobody has a
I
perfect
don't know.
life.
Maybe that's me.
Lawyer,
Maybe.
lawyer, nobody has a perfect life. so-
No. What I'm saying is that there are things that you may never believe or think
Sure.
somebody is going through.
Sure.
Emotion turmoils and so forth.
I get it.
that Mr. Nelson was not her father.
Well, that's part of it.
It
You know,
was all
so
through my knowing
this
her,
kind
that's
of
what I had thought.
publication exposes for us, for our sociologists, for society as a whole, to begin to look at things for what they are. And I believe that the kind of exposures that she has made, where different people may have different judgment, but it is healthy for herself. It is healthy
course.
for us also to know.
Okay.
And begin to, yes. So
Oswald,
maybe-
I'll come to you, but let's go on the phone lines and speak to our sociologists guests for this afternoon. Let me go straight to the phone lines and speak to Dr. Peace Mamle Tete, who is senior lecturer at the Department of Sociology, University of Ghana. Good afternoon, madam.
No, I don't have a problem.
Good afternoon to you and to your panel,
And
as well as to your listeners.
Great. I trust you're doing well.
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah, so this afternoon we're looking at Yvonne Nelson's book and the implications of the book from a legal and sociological perspective. Now, you've been somebody who is versed in sociology and how human relations affect each other. Please help us with this particular one. So how is Yvonne's book going to affect her?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak about this. I have had a privilege to read the book. The very moment I started, I couldn't put it down. I read it all up in the morning. And I felt there were a lot of questions as I read. There were very high moments where I was as though I was walking on the journey with her and felt happy at some point. And then there were letdowns. I'm like, oh, so really? But I am just not also surprised at all of the reactions that have come since she launched the book, because as a sociologist, I know we live in a society where we don't let especially children ask questions. And when children ask questions, we say, well, I'm a born, they can be informed. They shouldn't ask questions. Children should be seen and not heard. So we have been in a way socialized to Jaimonka. We think that to create peace, let things be. Don't say, and don't, we have not really been encouraged to ask questions. So when this young lady decides to go on a journey of discovery and to ask questions about her identity as to who am I, who is my father, and she was seeking answers and was not getting answers, I think that after reading the book, my conclusion, and this is my very strong opinion, is that this book is a masterpiece. And I have all the reasons why I say it's a masterpiece. The book points us to unresolved childhood issues. And like the last panelist said, there are so many disturbed adults who have unresolved childhood issues, but are thinking of what will be taught of them if they ask the difficult questions. And so I admire Yvonne's courage for asking the very difficult questions and taking all of the practical measures to discover who her father is. In the book, she says that her motive is not to denigrate anybody. Her motive is to find answers. She's asking very legitimate questions. She's finding answers. And her motive is to also use her story to encourage some young child out there. And that is what I love about the book. That whole thing of self-discovery. We need as a society or as a people to learn this habit of being reflective. I think that there's so much noise out there. We just get caught up in things. We don't take moments to reflect on our life, discover who we are. And to see her do that in this book really pleases me. That kind of deep thinking of who am I and how who am I is influencing all of what I have become and what I'm even going to become. So people who have heard comments about what are her motives. In the book, she's talked about what her motives are. And I think that a lot of the people who may be raising all kinds of questions and ridiculing the things she said, most likely have not even read the book. And in reading the book, I would say don't read chapters or portions of it. Read the whole book and you get a total picture. And then perhaps you can provide a much more analytical or objective analysis of what she's put out there. I am grateful for the book because I think that with everything she's been through, it has been therapeutic for her. In talking about this, I hope that she found some healing through the process. Somebody said to me, and if it's therapeutic, then you should have gone to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. This belongs in the space with a psychologist. Yes, it is true, but there are many other Yvonne Nelsons out there who are going through similar situations who just need to hear her story and read her story to be able to make informed decisions and get an idea of where they are going. Those who have said that, oh, this content is not necessary, the content belongs to the trash. Yes, I don't begrudge them for having that position. But, you know, when you come to these things, when you are writing a book, your target audience is not everybody. So what somebody would say is trash is pleasure to another. And on that basis, I think that those who need this book have gotten a masterpiece. That's my opinion. Talking as a parent, as a mother, as a sociologist, I think that there are so many, a myriad of lessons in Yvonne's book. Lessons for parents, for mothers. She talked about her relationship with her mother growing up and how she was told that she was a mistake. No mother should say that to any child. No child is a mistake. You know, and of course, I'm not in this way blaming the mother. She also was perhaps in a place of pain and was saying what she said. But from these, if you like, unfortunate experiences, there is a lesson in there for us as mothers or even as fathers. There is a lesson in there for us as step-parents. She talked about her experience when her mother remarried in the home of one Mr. Benji and what she went through. I was sad reading that experience. But that is a story of many children. The fact that the child is not yours biologically does not mean that that child cannot be nurtured by you. There is a lesson in there. The issue about abortion, well, people can say and pontificate and say all the things, but these were young people, young adolescents who had become sexual or what, were in a sexual relationship. I'm not saying that it was a good thing they did, but in their mistake, other adolescents
Doctor, she was
in their mistake.
Doctor, she was 25, yes. And according to her, Sarkodie was 22 then.
So 25, 22, young adults, maybe. Young adults, but their lessons are vital for many other young adults and adolescents. And that is the lesson that's a thing we don't tend to do in this country. We have made sex a taboo subject. And we don't give the right information on reproductive health. Look at how she tried to terminate the abortion through other means, unsafe abortion. The reason why Ghana did not meet the MDG goals on maternal mortality, it was attributed largely to unsafe abortion. And so if women have the knowledge and in their desperate moment even see that as an option at all, then they should know where to go to get that kind of help. So in there, the things that happened should not have happened. But of course, these are humans. They made mistakes. Everybody has a past. And I think that instead of thinking of people's reputation and all of that, I want to put on a lens that looks at the lesson in there. I want to look at the labeling. And I'm a childhood scholar, so I'm very concerned about children. How we label children, street child, those things, you will kill the spirit of children. And when they start becoming rebellious, we don't understand. So we all need to work on ourselves when it comes to these things. Another critical point I want to make, in the portion of the book, she talks about the fact that we live in a man's world. She talks about patriarchy and it's a man's world. And she gives several examples of how it's as though a woman must be prepared and checked out physically and spiritually for marriage. Demons need to be cast out of her and prepare her for marriage. What about the man? How are we socializing our male children to be ready for marriage? Should our lens only be on girls? What about the boys? There are those who are making noise as to, the men she's been with, and all kinds of comments. But she's been with men. Where is the responsibility up with the men, even if these narratives are true? I think that she's a courageous girl. I just love the fact that she said it as it is. She did not mince any words. As a mother, I would not hold grief for her mother, and I do not judge her mother. She definitely perhaps has her reasons for maybe not telling her what she wants to find out. And maybe it's in her interest that her mother has decided to remain silent into her grave or whatever. I just want to believe that there is something she's doing to protect her child. And I don't know what that is. But then another issue this raises is when you talk about many of us young women who have become relatively independent and assertive and thinking of, oh, we don't even want to get married, but we want to have children. The conversations around donor sperm, it has a lot of legal and ethical issues and sociological issues. We need to have these conversations and understand these things, because it is your right. You want to go have a child. What you must know is that actions have consequences. So you get a baby through a donor sperm. One day that baby will start asking questions about who my father is, her own identity or his identity. So the issues I see in this book are many. In this book, again, I see sibling relationships. Look at her relationship with her step-sibling, as though she did not exist, as though she was a problem child. Children are different, from the same womb, but different traits and characters and personalities. And these are the conversations I hope we would be having, instead of the sensationalism and the other things that people are. And often it's just because somebody's comment. But really, if you take an objective look at this book, like I said from the beginning, it is a masterpiece. And if I have the opportunity to advise Yvonne, I applaud her. I doff my hat off to her for being this courageous to do this. But I would say that at this point, given all the effort and the steps she's taking, I would say that she should just let it rest at this point. In her last chapter, she made a comment. She talked about her courage to apologize to the people and the families that she even thought were her relations. That turned out not to be so. Her appeal to her father, if he's out there anywhere and just wants to meet her, I would say if the man is alive and is out there anywhere, wants to meet her, and that dream happens, hallelujah, I'll be happy for her. But if that does not happen, I think that at this point, she should rest, priding herself in the fact that she told her story, and people can learn from her story. And I'm saying to let it rest at this point, because, and then rather, find her identity in Christ. Because in the book, she talked about the fact that she is religious. She does not wear her religion on her sleeve. She prays, she fasts. I want to believe that she still has that faith. And if she's Christian, as she said in the book, then she should look in the mirror and ask herself, who am I? I'm not Yvonne Nelson. Who am I? And say to herself that I am a child of God. God intended for Yvonne to be born. Because even when her mother attempted to abort her at 6 months and decided, the doctor said, I won't do it, it means that God intended for her to be here. Mm-hmm. And that is where her comfort should come from. Okay. Find her identity in Christ and let this rest. But I want to encourage her to inoculate herself against all of the ridicule and the targets and the talk and everything. Whatever you do, there are some people who never like you. I don't know Yvonne personally. I've only seen her on the screen. But I really admire her courage. I admire her style, the simplicity of it, the truthfulness of it. As far as I am concerned, her book is a masterpiece. It is a must read. And I would encourage people to read this with a very open mind and be objective. The book teaches us to be empathetic. We are in a society where we are so quick to judge. It's important for us to walk a mile in people's shoes. The lawyer said, oh, she's beautiful, but she had issues. Many of us have issues. And if only we would put ourselves in other people's shoes and show a little bit of empathy instead of being quick to judge. And like it or not, unfortunately, we are also a very hypocritical society. The things that the West and other countries will celebrate, we are quick to judge. And I think that if this had come from some other quarters, we would have celebrated the person. But this is Yvonne. We know her too well. We have judged her already. So what is she telling us that is not whatever? But I think that besides the book, if it's possible, she's in the film industry. This book, perhaps it is turned into a film. There are those who don't like to read, but who would watch a film, and so that the lessons are not lost on us. These are my many thoughts on the book, and I think that she's done an excellent job writing it.
That's fantastic. But let me ask you, do you think this book can help reconcile Yvonne and her mother?
Reconciliation is a decision. It's a choice that you make. Forgiveness is a choice. She has a lot to forgive her mother for. Her mother has a lot to forgive her for. I don't think that this issue should separate them. The love of a mother is never lost. I know, and this is me talking as a mother. So I think that in this situation, of course, in our cultural setting, they will say the younger person should go to the older person. She should reach out to her mother because I believe there is nobody who can love her better than her mother. And all of these questions she's asking that she's not finding answers to. For all you know, her mother is doing it out of love for her. So she shouldn't listen to the naysayers and people who say you are disgracing your mother. I don't see any disgrace in this. The mother knows why she's doing or did what she did. And she just can't tell us. You know, there are lots of things that people want to cover up. But those who are bold to talk about it must be celebrated. I don't think that this should separate her from her mom. In fact, this should rather put them together. They must make that decision to forgive each other and love each other because they only have each other after all.
Okay, you spoke about the negative impact of this book on Yvonne Nelson. Can the book also compound her problem?
That's why I'm saying that she needs to inoculate herself. I don't think that this book would compound her problem. It depends on what she decides to do. But I think that this book perhaps has been therapeutic for her. It has helped her in the healing process. And that is why I'm saying that at this point, she should just look at it as, like she said, she's using it to help somebody out there. I don't think that is to compound her problems, and that is why I made a suggestion or advice to her, if she's listening or any other person who knows her is listening, is that she must inoculate, vaccinate herself and tell herself that it is what it is. Whatever people say, I have done what I need to do, and that's it. And when she guards her heart and guards her mind against what people would say, this book should not bring her any adverse effects. In fact, it should bring her healing. That's what I think.
Okay, so Doc, how has the absence of fatherly love?
I'm sorry, you are breaking up a little.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, so in the book, she mentions that she didn't have love from Mr. Nelson. And so the reason she's looking or searching for her real father is to have fatherly love. Do you think the absence of this has affected Yvonne Nelson in a way?
All these things are real. And it's a lot of the youth. I have been involved in some work with youth. A lot of the youth who are struggling, the basic reason for all the struggles is the lack of love in their family, lack of parental love. And so especially for girls, they are looking for love in all of the wrong places. Love in the arms of men who tell them they love them but really just want to take advantage of them. And so that is why I say that the lessons in there for parents, if you are a parent, you must read this book and learn how to affirm yourself and love them for who they are, however different they are. So yes, this has affected her, but I hope that she learns, now that she's a mother too, learns not to repeat what she did not like as a child and be a different kind of mother to her child or to any other young person she may come into contact with.
Let's look at the other people mentioned in the book. How is this going to affect them?
Hello?
Doc?
Yes.
Yes, so there were other people mentioned in the book.
Yes.
Yes. How is the book going to affect them?
Well, other people like the friends, okay, people are
like Sarkodie, yes, for different reasons, yeah.
I don't think that Sarkodie should feel bad. He was young. We all made mistakes when we were young. I'm sure he has his regrets if this actually happened. And so what? How many people have not done this? How many men have not done this? How many women have not? For me, it's a situation of and so what? His attitude should be and so what? I made a mistake. I've learned from it. And my life would be a lesson to somebody. And so what? Those who are crying the loudest, standing at the rooftop, have bigger cobwebs, skeletons in their wardrobe. For me, it's the people who mentioned should not take it to heart. It's somebody, in a way, she was related, connected to all of them. And so in telling her story, she couldn't have taken you out. I think the approach should be, oh, well, we made our mistakes. We will learn from it. Our life will help somebody. And that should be it. That's my position, and that's what I would say.
Okay, so Uncle Ken is a broadcaster here, senior broadcaster here, and he wants to ask a question.
Yes, Uncle Ken, one of my favorites.
Doc, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Uncle Ken.
Doc, when you started your submission, about 3 minutes into your submission, I put my hand up, signaled Kwame, and I said to Kwame, I want to ask Doc a question.
Yes.
But I have to tell you this, Doc. After listening to you this afternoon, all I can say to you is Jewutu. Because you've been absolutely brilliant in everything and the way you've looked at this matter. I said to a friend of mine yesterday when he called me about this Yvonne Nelson thing, and he said, Ken, I know you guys are going to discuss this on your show, but I said to my friend, I said, listen, discussing or critiquing a memoir is a literary objective. It is not an entertainment matter. This matter has only come into the entertainment realm because of the mention of certain entertainment figures
And
in
the
the
fact that the
memoir.
person is also entertainer.
And because Yvonne herself is part of the industry. But you have looked at this matter and you have just astounded me. Thank you, Doc. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Uncle Ken.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. I think you should be on for a while. Let me go around and come back to you for a few questions before we say goodbye to you. Still here, Showbiz A to Z, Joy 99.7 FM. And this afternoon, we're talking about Yvonne Nelson's book, I'm Not Yvonne Nelson. Yes, what are the legal and sociological implications of this book? We have in the studio lawyer Kweku Yamwa Pencil, who is a family counselor or life counselor and also a lawyer. We have in the studio Oswald Okaite, a writer and also the organizing secretary for the Ghana Writers Association. And we will be joined by a publisher. Yes, Ernest Opon is also with the Ghana Publishers Association. We'll be joined by him in a moment. Now, then we also have Chief Mumin right here, my own brother Chief Mumin, and then Ken Adi, who is a veteran broadcaster and former artist manager. Now let me come in studio again. Let me come to lawyer and ask you a few questions about the other side of it, the sociological side of it. So we're talking about the effect on Yvonne herself and the other people involved, the mom, Sarkodie, wife, everybody involved in this particular one. And just like Doc said earlier on, there are implications on herself, on the other people, but she thinks that this is positive. This is more or less like therapy to her. Do you think that this particular book could bring Yvonne Nelson some issues, some problems?
Talk about legal problems. I believe that I've gone over and over. But the real point I'm
Yes.
making is that, I mean, she has let her thoughts out there. It's for anybody who believes that anything that she has said in that book defames that person to come out and state the point at which he considers or she considers himself defamed. So far, it's just talk. I think it's more about embarrassment. It's not necessarily about anything wrong that she has said. And of course, there appears to be a thought that, or a thinking that embarrassment necessarily means wrong. It's not. For anybody who feels embarrassed, too bad. And we can look at all of them. Maybe the mom. You know, mothers, obviously, what they have to do to protect their children, you cannot even judge her mom too harshly. Her mom may have very good reasons, possibly, to ensure that her daughter is so integrated with the other children, and that may be the only reason why she didn't have to say things and so forth and so on. I haven't read about what she said about the man, but if a man looked after you all his life and did not tell you your beginnings or whatever, I believe there's something good that we can say for him. Because some people would tell you to the face that maybe they are not even their child at all, and so forth and so on. If she had friends with whom she related, did all manner of things, and today she has said it, maybe now we all have to look at what we do, even in our private moments and so forth and so on, and to know that one day these things will come out and people want to know. So I think what the book provides, in my view, is food for thought. I mean, for reflection, for all of us to look at all of these things put together. What are the lessons that we draw going forward? Because obviously, there are some of the things that we have to admit were wrong. And naturally, we're not going to celebrate the wrong things. But then we have to identify all the book as a whole, the context in which everything has been said. And obviously, I would look at any young person who's now reading these books. There are some lessons, different lessons to be drawn. It is like the story of the elephant that 7 blind men went to. I mean, somebody heard it by the tail, somebody heard it by the ear, somebody heard it by the whatever, different places, and each person, described his or her his experience by reference to the portion or the part of the body that he was holding. So at the end of the day, different lessons should be drawn from this book. But it set the stage for everybody to look at relationships and how we must conduct it, knowing that one day this may come out one way or the other. So that's the way I want to look at it. But I don't honestly believe that there's going to be any cause of action.
So you don't think it will have any negative impact on her brand or on her?
Oh, please, to be very honest with
not
you,
legally, maybe psychologically, sociologically.
I believe that this offers an opportunity for people to relate to her and know that she's for real. I mean, that's better than a lot of people who have a lot of things hidden in their cupboards and so forth and so on. I think it's a positive thing for me on the whole that people can own up. Let me tell you what, it's not everybody who's able to own to the past. Somebody who can tell the truth about the past. It's not everybody, and it's a pretense going on. Those people are more dangerous than what we have seen in this lady. And therefore, I believe that she must be commended for the boldness and the confidence and the ability that she has managed to put these things out there. Some people may not be too comfortable because they did not expect certain dealings that she had with them to become public. But you don't commit a wrong by letting the world know what really went on between you and somebody, however unpleasant that it may be, especially if what she has put out there contains the truth. And therefore, there are people who will shun her. Let me tell you what, whatever you do in this world, you will always get people who, for those the same reasons, some will want to walk away from you. But I'm telling you that everybody who's going to walk away from her for the reasons that she has published this book is actually the wrong guy. It's not every time that you need to have everybody around you. And the people who will stick with her are the people who accept her for who she is. And I think that's the positive part of it. Going forward, she doesn't need anybody to come around her. And I believe that society, in my view, would judge her, a much more better light than possibly she had even been known to. That's my view of that.
You can also send in your thoughts here. How do you think this book is going to affect Yvonne Nelson? Send us your thoughts via 055-1111-997. 055-1111-997. Now, I want to read this portion of the book, the concluding part of the book that is a letter to my father. And then when I come back, I ask my question. So it says, "Dear Dad, I cannot tell you how many times I've cried because I do not know you. I've tried to be strong growing up. I tried to shake off derogatory comments and names such as Abanoma. But the more I tried, the more I was reminded of the reality that I did not know my father. I have a strong feeling that you exist. I feel you're still alive. I pray to God to give you long life and cause our paths to cross before you pass on to eternity. I have a feeling you know me. So if you see me, don't pass by. Come forward and let me see you. The main reason I wrote this book is to find you. I could have gone on social media or mainstream media to announce it, but that would have left out the backstories. No social media post or mainstream media interview could have captured my journey and struggle from the day the teacher called Eugene on me to his desk to ask if our father was the same man. The innocent instigation has helped me to establish what was not. I now want to know what is, who my father is. I've carried a false identity. I now know I am not Yvonne Nelson. What I don't know is the surname that I was supposed to carry. Perhaps if I had known you, it wouldn't have been a big deal. I would never have understood anyone who goes through depression in search of a father, even at a time she is self-reliant and is able to take care of others. Having endured it for close to 4 decades, I understand it better. That's why I'm reaching out to you. It doesn't matter the circumstances surrounding my birth. If you are out there, reach out to me. When King Ayesoba burst onto the Ghanaian music scene with "I Want to See You, My Father," many found it amusing, but I find myself having to repeat those same words. I want to see you, Daddy. I want to hear from you. I want to know more about myself. Scientists say the male chromosomes determine the sex of the child. I don't regret the woman that I've become, and I'll be happy to see the man who contributed in some way to who I am today. I don't care about who you are or the circumstances under which you had me. If you have a family somewhere and do not want your peace to be interrupted, spare me a thought for a woman who feels incomplete until she sees you. I'm not looking for you to share whatever you may have made and bequeathed to your children in that family. By the grace of God, I have enough to satisfy me, my daughter, and those God has put under my care. If because of your status or present circumstances, seeing you should be a secret that only the two of us would share, I'm prepared to grant you that anonymity. I can't wait to hug you and ask you about all the gaps in my life. I need to fill those gaps. I need closure, and you are crucial to bringing me the much needed closure. Kindly reach out if you read this letter and know you could possibly be the one I'm writing to. Yours sincerely, Yvonne. This is the last part of the book, and so comes to my question. Doc, are you on the line? Hello, Doc.
I'm here.
Yes. So the book basically is Yvonne Nelson's quest to know her real father. Do you think?
Yes.
Do you think this is going to help her find her father?
Hopefully, we can only remain hopeful. We can only remain hopeful. But if she doesn't, in the event that she doesn't, I pray that she still gets closure, resting on the fact that she's known by God. She's not here by mistake. Before God formed her and knitted her in her mother's womb, He knew her. And I hope that helped her get closure. But she can only remain hopeful that she gets to know who He is. But if she doesn't, life must go on. And she's really shown that she's a courageous person, having lived up to almost 38 years, going through all of this. She can only get better. That's what I'm hoping for her, you know. But if I could just say some few things finally, my position, I'm not judging anybody in the book. It just shows how we all are human, our vulnerability as human beings, the mistakes we can make. And it just shows all of us to learn to be empathetic and learn to forgive each other as we all strive towards the excellent mark. None of us has attained it yet. We are only striving towards the goal. So let's learn to be more empathetic, more forgiving of others. But I really want to celebrate Yvonne. And I would say to her that even though she doesn't or has not met her real father yet, there are many godly men out there, father figures, that she could look up to. And maybe she should start finding those, not those who want to take advantage of her, but finding those. And like she said in the book, there are few who've been that to her. Maybe she wants to draw on those, but the ultimate father is a father above. I don't know if I'm preaching here, but the ultimate father and the identity as a person,
Great.
who you are in Christ. So these are my final thoughts.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Peace Mamle Tete, for your time this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. So that was Dr. Peace Mamle Tete, who is a senior lecturer at the Department of Sociology at the University of Ghana, Legon. Lawyer. So my question is this book going to help her find the father?
I don't really believe that should be the question. The real question must be whether everything that she has put in there, including the sentiments that she has expressed, is what will bring her healing. It's not a physical final or the father in the flesh that's going to do anything to her.
Okay.
Because I found a lot of people who have been in this situation. And it's more about curiosity. I'm sorry if somebody thinks I am underrating the issue. It's more about curiosity. We are all curious human beings. We all want to find out something, and we'll keep on searching in a delicate matter as a father. But let her hear me that it's not the finding of the father that's going to bring her healing. Because everything that we do is about relationship. I'm telling you that people go to know their fathers very late stage. They have not developed any relationship with them, and they cannot relate because they cannot. It's as simple as that. And therefore, what will give her healing is all the lessons that she has drawn. Like the lecturer said, God brought her into this world for a reason, for a purpose. There are things that may be horrible about her real father that she may not even want to be happy with. What about if her mother was raped? I'm not saying she was. What about if the mother does not even know the one who impregnated her? What about, these are the serious questions that we must be asking. And therefore, we must not assume that everybody who was born into this world was born in circumstances that makes it possible even for the mother to know. So the real issue is not whether finding a physical father. That's not it. The father may have been dead. The father may be alive. And so what? I'm sorry, I'm not belittling her issue, not underestimating this thing. But she must find solace in where she finds herself now.
Great. And
relate to her circumstance the best way that she can. I mean, come on, somebody's father, now let's call him so. For whatever, fancy, what's it? Onyenyefo kwa wanenkaida. Onyenyefo. In other words, I mean, there's something that somebody did for you. Your mom did what the mothers, the pains that they carry. I mean, you don't know. Don't push her to do what she doesn't want to do herself. But then the real question for her is, how does she live the kind of life that would ensure that her own children that she's going to bring into this world are not going to carry the sentiments that she's carrying? Half of the time we're growing up, that's it. I was so angry with my father, everything. I never liked my father, whatever. Until one day I asked myself, what is it I'm going to do to ensure that this hatred I have for my father, my child is not going to have it for me? That's the real question. That's the crucial issue. And you are still alive. You are still in your prime. There's a lot of things that you can do. And she must sit down to do that work. And that's the way it has to be. The world is too rough. And I'm sorry, a lot of things that we all go through to be where we are. I mean, if we were to tell it, you'd be amazed. Some people have fathers, it means nothing. Some didn't have fathers, they've made it the best way they have. I have a situation, I can relate to specific situations of a mate that we had. He had a man that looked after him up to sixth form, and he didn't know his free father. This man looked after, he never even did the slightest thing for you to, then the very moment he got to the man was not his father, he became his enemy. And unfortunately, the real father also not accept him. Wow. And you know, when you keep this kind of life, then what's going to happen is that you're never going to find solution to your real situation. Your real situation, she has grown up to this stage. She hasn't got a father. But by the grace of God, I mean, come on, there's nothing else, like she herself has acknowledged in the closing chapter. There's nothing else God hasn't done for you. And you see, when you do that kind of thing, I'm sorry, that time that we find ourselves, it's like we don't even appreciate what God has done for us. Because in spite of all of that, God has brought you to where you are. And you are not, you are not any the less better for where you are, what you are doing. So please, my advice to her, in order to bring healing to herself, she must accept her circumstances for what she is. There's a lot of potential that she has. There's a lot of things that she can do. She can marry. She can have a child. She can bring all the love that she did not have to that child in a happy marriage. And that is the way I think her focus must be now. And I mean every word of what I've said. Every word. You want her to be happy. But happiness will not be found in the mere fact that you identify this man and it becomes your father. What's he going to do for you? His mere presence? Yes.
Good points made. Lawyer Yamwa. Let me come to you, Oswald. You've listened to Lawyer, you listened to Doc Mamle.
So,
your take.
As a matter of fact, as the Ghana Secretary of Ghana Association of Writers, as a literary activist, first, I think we want to commend Yvonne Nelson for once creating a long moment where books have come into focus. The major headlines, everyone is talking about book. People who ordinarily would not want to read are making that conscious effort to get a book to read, whether online, whether soft copy or hard copy. So for us, we are happy. Just for people to understand that, yes, it is important to write. So from Ghana Association of Writers, just for the fact that she has been able to take that bold step, using her personality to make book become topical for discussion, we commend her. And then two, the question is, life in itself is a piece of drama. We men are but mere characters. So the characters mentioned, did they really play any role in her life? If they did, and she decides to give account of past life, how is that wrong? I want to leave it there. But I want to mention to you that you should look out for this book, Pieces of the Portraits.
Okay.
By Linda Amper. The Judge for Ghana Most Beautiful.
All right.
And there are serious things in there. Is it just because names mentioned there are not the ones we know that we are not talking about?
No, but these are different scenarios and circumstances because, Yvonne Nelson, the figure is one, okay? She did a whole book launch with media, people from different parts of this industry coming. And even the storyline and the people mentioned. So
but what I want
to compare her book
what I
to
want to
anybody's
mention
book.
is, just forget about almost all of that. That is a book.
Yes.
That's an account of someone's life. As at the time the very things happened, she had not come to stardom. She's just giving account of the life. Likewise, any other person doing it. And so, for the fact that said, as at the time Sarkodie was mentioned, we didn't know Sarkodie. I know a lot of people are just about Sarkodie, putting him in a contest as he is, as though that was how he
2010,
lived.
Sarkodie was really, really climbing. He was.
Do you get what I'm saying? And if you have time to even read a book, she didn't come attacking Sarkodie. You get me? I think a lot of people have to read a book and find the context in which all of these things are being mentioned.
Great.
And I'm sure once you read, you'd rather sympathize with her than decide to come attacking her.
Great. Oswald Okaite, the writer and organizing secretary of the Ghana Association of Writers. Let me come to Chief Mumin. Chief is also a poet, a writer, playwright. He's in the creative industry. He's a big man. Chief Mumin, so after listening to Doc and Lawyer, your take?
Sure that Yvonne Nelson is, let's say, hopelessly traumatized, and is not doing anything with her life and is looking for answers. She's pretty much very successful actress, entrepreneur who has established her own business. She has her own school. Actually, she has children, I believe, right? Yeah, I think she has a child. Sorry, she has a child. So, a daughter. So she's very successful in her own right, and not knowing her father hasn't stopped her from achieving whatever she has achieved with her life. I think that is just a natural yearning. It's a natural biological yearning. It's a curiosity that is imprinted in our DNA to want to know where we come from. That is why even adopted children, at some point in their lives, they want to know who their biological parents are. So it's a natural quest that every human being is going to be faced with if you found yourself in such a circumstance, and it's an answer that you forever seek, regardless of how old you become. So for me, I just want to make the point, I'm not sure that the not knowing who the father is has really stopped her from achieving anything. Her real father is. I think that she's done well with her life, and it is only natural that she will continue to yearn for that knowledge, right? So, and the question about whether this book would take something away or add something away, I'm not really sure. I mean, Yvonne Nelson, once again, is very successful. The reason why we're actually discussing this is because she's successful in whatever field that she has chosen, to be, and so I'm not sure this book is going to add anything dramatic or subtract anything dramatic from her brand. Would it cause a little bit of tension here and there with some of the people she's mentioned? Maybe not. I don't think it's really going to be something that will sever much relationship. I think that from Doc. Uncle Ken mentioned that Doc did a brilliant, analysis. I mean, she has read the book from cover to cover, so at least she came to the conversation with a bit more insight on the context, and at least you also, helped us with the last yearning that she wrote about in her book about knowing her father, which I've already mentioned is natural. And so I don't think that it would take much away from her brand. I don't think it will add anything away from her brand. At the end of the day, this is someone sharing her life story. Many people have shared their life stories with us in different platforms. She has chosen the book, which will exist for all time. And then, as I said, I'm interested in actually, from a literary point of view, I'm actually interested in knowing the language of the book. How engrossing is it to read? And it's a beautiful language. It's a crafted language. It's a poetic language, or is it just, as we say in my language, warandine, like that? So, if I do actually read the book, I mean, I'll be interested in knowing about the language used in the book and how also the language speaks. And I've also had conversations about having ghostwriters. I mean, obviously, someone like that, you definitely would need people to help you, write, whether to even edit, you do your first draft, or whether to even have a ghostwriter to completely write it from beginning to end. But it's still your story, it's your narrative. The person has to listen to your voice, So I'm interested in knowing if Yvonne Nelson's voice, represented. It's also very important to mention that Yvonne is really one of the really down to earth, people in the industry. For those who know her very personally, she's not someone who has many pretensions. She doesn't go about say, "Hey, I'm a celebrity, worship me." She's really.
Were you here when she was last in this studio?
I believe.
I listened.
To promote her movie.
I listened.
I was here.
I listened. I think Chief was.
Yeah, I think I was seated here actually.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I wasn't in close as much proximity.
Yes.
Yeah, I was here. Now that you mention it, yes.
I think it was in January or February.
Yes.
It was February. Yes.
Yeah, so even if as I said, she's not someone in 3 years said no when I'm born. Am I saying it right? On Tessa, yeah. So she's really, when it comes to that, celebrity tag, she's one of those people who doesn't even necessarily see herself like, oh, I'm that big celebrity, everyone should bow to me. And yeah, she's very down to earth, easygoing, and all of that. So yes, she's spoken her truth. She's written her story. She's put it in print, for all time for people to read, understand, and empathize. And Doctor said, let's empathize. So different people. I mean, that's the work of literature.
Exactly.
Different people come at it from different perspectives. They pick different things, from it. They learn different lessons, from it. And some just read it for the fact that it's just exciting to read. I'm sure some people are reading it just for the sensational value of it. Which, well, in our industry, you kind of run away from sensation. Sensation sells books, sells movies, sells music, and all of that. So yeah, there's a bit of. But I don't think that she wrote this book because she wanted to peddle sensationalism. And I think that this is someone who is really, interested in talking about, what has made up her life, but as she herself has said, a quest to find her father, and I think that it is a perfectly legitimate quest. And as the lawyer was saying, that she should concentrate on the now and try and make the best out of it. And my point to that was that I don't think that she has concentrated on the now. She's made a good life in quotes for herself. She's successful, she's content with what she has built for herself, and I think that it's only natural that she would want to find out who her biological father. And I wish her all the best.
Chief,
All right.
Yes, I have come across.
Is that
As to why she put this book out.
the movie coming?
Blow your mind.
Okay,
Uncle
please
Ken,
blow my mind.
Why are you not telling us? You don't want to blow our mind?
No. Because I don't believe in conspiracy.
Okay. Is it that the movie is coming out? Is it setting the stage?
Not even about movies. I mean, her reasons
Okay.
for putting
Yes.
this book out.
Yes.
Yeah.
The conspiracy theories I have come across, some of them
Yes.
just bamboozle me.
So, Uncle, are you just
All
whetting
right.
our appetite, or you intend?
I am not what I'm.
Okay, then maybe
At the right time,
when the
you
microphone
say
is
it.
off.
Engaging sensationalism.
For all you know, the father is like some big.
No,
Uncle Ken, are you ready to tell us?
Chief.
Yes, Uncle.
I am not going to go into the conspiracy theories because they are ridiculous to the extreme.
Okay.
Much as I don't know whether some of them could be true,
Such as?
but
Okay.
I won't go there.
So
I
then
want
this is
to
very unfair
move.
to us and the
Kwame,
listeners.
Okay, Uncle Ken. Let's
yes,
see.
I want to move on to Oswald's
Okay.
outfit.
The
And-
writers.
Yes, The Ghana Association of
Uncle Ken,
Writers.
we will come to writers. Uncle Ken, we will come to writers. So you put that one in the fridge.
So what do you want me to use this time for?
Conspiracy theory.
You want
Okay,
me?
okay, you make your point. You make your point.
No, seriously. I think that one of the biggest achievements of Yvonne for putting this book out is the art of reading that everybody's talking about.
Yes.
That has been ignited in a lot of Ghanaians who otherwise had forgotten about reading a book.
I think it's too early yet. I don't think there's any data to support that evidence. Yes, there's been talk, there's been people.
Please,
but up to whether people will really read.
The reading, we are coming to that in a moment. Please.
Yes.
Also, please, we are coming to
No,
that.
but this is in relation to the books.
Please, we will come to that. I beg. Let's listen to what our listeners are saying. Yes, via our WhatsApp line. So, Joy 99.7 FM. Let's listen to some of the thoughts from our listeners now. This one says, "Hello, team. I've not read Yvonne's book, but below are my comments. This is a memoir, her story reported by herself. Obviously, she couldn't have written without affected parties. The facts may not be entirely accurate for obvious reasons. The concept of Ghanaian celebrities writing should be encouraged. Society should embrace storytelling without being judgmental, balancing privacy and truthfulness on the pivots of reasonability requires maturity and discernment." Kofi Boachi. Yes, we also had a message from Nana Aredam, one of the writer, publisher, also saying that he's listening. And this one is from, God bless this lecturer. And I'm sure he or she is referring to Dr. Peace Mamley. She has really demonstrated that she is a sociologist. I personally share the same views as her. God bless you, Dr. God bless Joy FM. God bless Yvonne Nelson. And God bless Ghana. I am Symbol Joe from Agona Swedru. Good evening, Kwame. I've read the book halfway, and I think Yvonne is a very, very brave lady. Tell her I love her and God bless her. Oye. Enafinya. Oye, thanks for your message. Hi, Kwame. I believe Yvonne Nelson may have assessed the impact this revelation may or could affect her brand. So I believe she knows better. On the matter itself, I believe she has been honest, and we should applaud her on her genuine honesty. I have a feeling there could be more surprises coming up in the few weeks to come. Really? Okay, this one is from Humphrey from the UK. Any more messages here? Okay, so you can send in yours 055 1111997 055 1111997. Joy 99.7 FM. And when we return from this commercial break, we'll be talking about the impact of reading, or how we're going to encourage the culture of reading and writing among Ghanaians. So this particular book has sort of reignited the whole conversation about reading in this country. So we'll be doing that discussion already. We have Chief Moomin, playwright, writer, poet. We have Oswald Okaite. Uncle Ken is here as well. Lawyer. Yamua Pinto is also right here. But after this particular break, we'll be getting into that. Going on now is actually about reading, how to encourage the culture of reading and writing among Ghanaians. So when the book came out, almost everybody was like, where can I get the book to buy? All of a sudden, people have developed interest for reading. And yes, I saw people who hitherto wouldn't even bother to read a book, Yes, so let's get down to it. We have the writers here. We have Chief Moomin, who is a writer. We have Oswald Okaite, who is also a writer, and he's the organizing secretary of the Ghana Association of Writers right here. We'll be also joined by Ernest Opon, who is with the Ghana Publishers Association. So let's get down to it. And okay, let me get to speak to Oswald. Oswald, so you are a writer, and you've already spoken about the book and your opinion submission on that particular book. But
Kwame,
yes,
objection. You see what you do to me all the time.
Uncle Ken, what?
I started this conversation about reading. Chief Woman interrupted me. Oswald came in. No,
Uncle Ken.
lawyer did.
Uncle Ken.
Hold on.
Uncle Ken.
Lawyer came in.
There's a saying that
You also came in.
Opening
and
Jaria,
you
na
said,
insuasa.
"Yanko break mra."
He's smart. Kwame has been very smart.
No, but I'll
And
come
now
to you.
You come back.
No.
You jump me.
I've not jumped you.
And
I've not
but
jumped
I
you.
am happy you are going to Oswald.
Yes.
Because I was going to make my submission based on something Oswald
I've not
said.
jumped you.
Yes.
So
So
can
let
you
Oswald.
together?
No, let Oswald continue. I agree. But I'm just reminding you.
No, okay. You will finish, Uncle Ken. You will finish. What's the opening Jaria?
So Kwame say bi.
Ubegari. Epacho ubegari insuonyu anase insuosho. Oswald is a writer with GAO, Ghana Association of Writers, and he's been also following this conversation. But most importantly, we're talking about reading and writing. Now, in your own assessment, what do you make of the culture of reading and writing in this country?
You know, Kwame, first and foremost, as a literary activist, first before being organized secretary for Ghana Association of Writers, for the past 5 years, I've been of the view that it is not that we are not reading in Ghana. I know a lot of people get surprised when I say that, but that's the stark reality. We read, but we are not caught up in leisure reading. You know, even in the case of Yvonne Nelson, it is purpose driven. People want to unravel certain things. So the reading culture, yes, people read because Christians, religious Christians get up and read their Bibles. Religious Muslims read their Bibles. Students who are good,
Their Quran.
their Quran, sorry. Students, hardworking students make sure they read their books.
Yeah.
The lawyers read. The journalists have to read for particular purpose. The panelists, news review and all of that. They do reading. But what we've been talking about as the reason why we say we don't read is leisure reading.
Okay.
That somehow we decide to read for entertainment, because I heard you talk about entertainment, and because the person is in entertainment,
Right.
forgetting that even reading is a form of entertainment.
Yes.
That you are watching a movie in print. So our problem has got to do with leisure reading, and we don't have a lot of people doing that. The very reason why you have most of the publishers not publishing the words as it was in the days of Amatedu, Kofi Awuno, etc., but rather always focusing on textbooks. They are producing textbooks because people read the textbooks.
Exactly.
So our problem has got to do with leisure reading. We have problem with leisure reading in Ghana and Africa at large.
Wow. So how useful is it for anybody to cultivate the habit of reading?
Well, you can travel around the world without a passport, just by reading. You get me? And one, it is therapeutic. Once you read, you get so many solutions to problems either way you wouldn't have got into. For instance, there is this book by Professor Dadzie Wasunu, which is The Unattached, which focuses a lot on family planning and these things we are talking about. That if Yvonne Nelson had come across such book some years back, she would have known how to go about the pregnancy and all of that. You get me? Oh, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. That is what I heard a sociologist mention that. You get me? So once you read for leisure, you're open to so many solutions. You get me? It's therapeutic. You're able to travel around. You get confidence. You get to know so many things besides knowledge. So of course, we cannot sit here listing the benefits of reading. It's beyond measure.
So what is your association doing to whip out the interest in people?
Okay, so since we came in, of course, we're trying to do a lot of things. In the past, there has been visitation with schools and all of that. But we want to create that leisure, the fun reading activities. And of course, at the Ghana International Book Fair, for instance, we're going to have programs like the Read and Have Fun, where we bring the children in. We have projects. There is one, that's the visitation, where we have children write from their schools, compiled, and give it back to them. And we have that notion that once you have Kwame Dadzie, who is a student with us, written a book and it's been published, you are motivated to even get a book to read and in the quest to also write. We are partnering with different institutions. Let's say big, I don't want to mention other sister organizations. We even want to have author of the week reviews. We have, oh yes, because we are not through, we have partnership with some media spaces. Yeah.
Okay, Oswald, continue, please.
We have currently we have a partnership with one TV station where we go to have reading of books even as part of their morning shows, at least a fortnight in a month, and among others. We are so used to the orthodox way where we just want to bring people together, read a book, and go away. But we want people to understand that reading must not be for a particular occasion. It must be everyday life. And so we have to inculcate it. In fact, we have to talk that even in your show. You decide that you have about 10 minutes or 15 minutes to even mention a book of the month or book of the week for people to pick and read.
Okay.
So these are some of things, some of us, especially because we come from events, want to bring to the fore in order to encourage people to read. Just to know that you don't have to read because you want to pass exams, because you want to go to heaven. You have to read because it is therapeutic and it is fun and it's a form of entertainment.
Thank you, Oswald.
Uncle Ken, now to you. Opening is not jarring. Opening is not jarring today. He will jar next week.
I am so happy with this aspect of the discussion.
Yes.
Because it's so important. It is very, very important. When I was a child, unfortunately or fortunately, there was nothing to distract us other than to get into books for, like you said, entertainment, research, knowledge, whatever. All you could do was get into a book to achieve any of those objectives, because we didn't have smartphones, social media, and all that. It was the books, and everybody was into books. Gulliver's Travels, bedtime stories, the pack. They came in packs, and the ladies had the Enid Blyton love stories and what. So
and the Marriage of Anansi. Wow.
All those books, So what we did was exchange the books or go into libraries during vacation to read, and everybody will get back into school and we'll be able to tell each other what we had
what
read.
you read.
It was exciting, and the interactions were wonderful, and it helped with the English language. I'll tell you something, if you want to know how to speak English, nobody can teach you other than a book. If you read the correct books, you read the correct grammar. These days, unfortunately, I hold my hands up. I've come across certain books that are supposed to be even distributed in schools that have absolutely diabolical grammar and content.
Yes.
Look, it's a serious matter, this reading thing. It's a very serious... Chief, this week, another of the issues that really got me very distressed was this matter about licensure examinations.
The teachers'
for
exams.
teachers and what have you. And look at the percentages in people that passed and people who could not write simple or spell simple words and sentences. I tell you what, the reading thing, and like he said, it should be for leisure. It should not be because Yvonne Nelson has come out with a book that has mentioned certain artists or certain people you want to read about, so you get into that book. No. No. But I also must say that technology has not helped. Because back in my day, I didn't have all what we have today. So maybe that is why I concentrated on my books to read. Today, the kids have television. They have, tablets.
Access to YouTube.
They have access to all sorts of platforms.
Watching cartoons.
And unfortunately, the problem is if all these platforms even gave them the chance to learn good grammar and things, I wouldn't have a problem with. But most of these platforms, you take social media, there are people on social media who are considered good writers on social media by their readers. Kwame. But if you take time to check the content of some of these people, they are misleading their readers with bad grammar, yet their readers, because they don't know, applaud them. I read certain things on social media, council, and I look at the grammar of what the people have written, and then I look at the comments. I go into the comments, and people are saying, "Oh, Uchro Brofo Papa, you are this, you are that, you are that," and I say, "Hey, you're right."
Maybe the person drops some big word B. One
Why
big
are
word.
these people leading such people, innocent people, too? That is my problem. This program used to make people read. Once upon a time.
Yeah.
We spent, like you were just suggesting, that spend 10 minutes, spend this, spend that. When we started this show, or halfway through the show, Chief, do you remember? There were times when we were reading poems out
During the COVID-19
to the audience.
COVID season?
No, not the COVID season. I mean, we were reading poems out to students, to people out there who were asking people to call in and read.
Yes. I used to listen to that.
Kwame, it's
I listened to
Yes.
that. Yes.
And
Kwame,
read
I think
to
Gal
us.
can partner you for that. Bring it back.
We
Okay?
should bring it back. Thank you, Oswald.
We are ready to.
We should,
get
because
to
it
let
was
the book
very
for you.
popular. That was very popular back in the day, the reading thing. Even the drive time on Joy was reading it,
Yes.
was using Let's Read and things like that.
I know
on this
Kwame will
stage.
do it.
But somewhere along the line, we stopped. And I am saying
It'll
we
be
should
back.
bring it back because the reading culture should be brought back. It helps in so many ways to form people's, vocabulary and the way to write good English. If you read some of the things people write for examinations today, I tell you what, you'd be amazed. So, Kwame, that is the important part. And if Oswald's group are going to partner us to do it, I'll be
We'll
very
take it out
happy.
from here.
Yes.
Okay.
So Kwame, the reason why you have to do it because Joy is the #1 leading media station.
Of course.
And once you do, people replicate. So I think we should have that consensus and begin it.
Of course. Chief Mumi,
So am I the opinion in this occasion? Do I have the last word?
how can you give your opinion?
I said no one is bathing today.
But you don't even like bathing, so
Chief, I finished bathing.
That's a low blow.
I've just finished my.
So that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, well, I understand the context that because a popular celebrity like Yvonne Nelson wrote a book, for a moment, the adrenaline spiked and people would be interested in knowing the content of the book. Hopefully some of them will be converted and actually reading the full book and not just the excerpts of it. And even talking about reading the full book too, I mean, one of the unfortunate things that happened was after the news of the book came out, shortly afterwards the PDF version was just circulating, someone even posted on a group I was on. I mean, as a matter of principle, didn't even attempt to download it, at all, especially because, I mean, within our local context and the book is within reach. So if I really want to read the book, I have no reason for downloading, it. I'll just read the hard copy. And I'm a bit curious how the PDF actually came out. I'm very, very, very curious.
Yes.
Where the lapse came from. So first of all, I'm also encouraging people, if you want to read Yvonne Nelson's book, please buy the hardcover book, and read it from page to page and not download the PDF. But as to whether this is going to reignite the culture of reading, absolutely not. Reading is a culture, and if you want to instill that culture, there's a lot of things that you have to do, a lot of activities, policies, but at the end of the day, it starts from childhood. It starts from the home, it starts from the classroom. If parents are deliberate about ensuring that their children are reading, not just reading to pass examination, which has been mentioned. Most of us read because we had to read to answer questions, right? But just for the recreation of reading, seeing reading as an opportunity to encounter knowledge, as Oswald said, to travel through time and place and see and feel worlds different from our own. If that is the objective, and we make reading interesting and exciting right from the onset, then people would develop that attitude, or that they will develop the attitude of reading, and they'll grow with that attitude. But if we do not do that, if we do not win the battle at the foundation, I'm afraid that for people who are already matured and are pressured with life, I'm not sure you can reignite in them any culture of reading. So any reading campaign must be targeted at the young ones. And may I also mention that this year is actually Accra is actually UNESCO's World Book Capital. And the Director General was in town recently to launch. So in fact, there's supposed to be ongoing a number of activities. Kwame, why are you looking at me as if you want me to summarize?
Oh, no, continue.
You're looking at me.
You have from now to 7 p.m.
Meanwhile, I'm the one who is supposed to be the person who is having the last bath.
Who says who, please?
So this year's Accra is UNESCO's World Book Capital. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of ongoing activities championed by the Ghana Commission for UNESCO, the UNESCO office here in Accra, to ensure that they encourage reading among young people. So I would encourage parents that let people, there's serendipity of learning. When I was young, I had such a fascination with encyclopedia. I would read encyclopedia.
That's why.
From I didn't say dictionary, I said encyclopedia. Because I was fascinated with history. So I read for the love and the joy of it. And what I do today, really I can trace it back to the attitude or the interest that I formed and started reading from an early age. So yes, let's make reading a recreational activity, not just an activity to read and go and answer a particular question. And it must be deliberately inculcated at home. Even if you, the parent, do not have the time to read, you have to find incentives, ways and means of making your child read and say, oh, did you read? Come and tell me the story. And as we're introducing our children to literature, we have to ensure that we introduce them to African literature. When Uncle Ken was mentioning all of the foreign authors, I saw how Oswald, chipped in. The marriage of an answer. I wanted to tell him that Uncle Ken is actually an Anglophile.
Okay.
So So if you are like an Uncle Ken, you have to be deliberate in ensuring that you introduce African literature. There's such a wealth of African writers, of Ghanaian writers that who produce fantastic work. So that as you encourage reading, make sure that in that library there's an adequate representation of African works.
Thank you, Chief Mumin there. Playwright, poet, writer. Okay, so
I don't understand when you say playwright, poet. Right?
We just add in everything, just like we say veteran broadcaster and former artist manager.
That's just a poet.
They are all part of it.
A prose writer. You could say prose writer.
Yes. Okay. We're all writers.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much, Chief Mumin. Now, let's go on the phone lines.
Say again.
Not Zoom. No, let's speak to a publisher. Ernest Opong is the Assistant Executive Secretary of the Ghana Publishers Association, and he's on now. Good evening. Good evening, Ernest.
Good evening, Kwame.
I hope you are doing well.
Yes, please, by God's grace.
Okay, so what is the work of a publisher?
Okay, thank you, and good evening to your listeners. First of all, who is a publisher? Sometimes many people get confused, not knowing the difference between a publisher and a printer. A publisher refers to an individual or an organization that refines or shapes the work of an author for the target readers. That is the publisher. And printer is an individual organization that prints or converts the book from soft copy into hard copy. So the work of a publisher, I'll put it in 5 points. One, a publisher is an investor. He invests resources into the publishing of the work of an author, as I indicated. So without resources, there is no way the publisher can do that. Two, the publisher is an employer. The publisher does not publish the book by himself. He engages the services of other professionals, such as writers, authors, designers, editors, illustrators, proofreaders, printers, and the rest, booksellers. So all these professionals come together to work on one book. So the publisher pays. Sometimes in Ghana here, the publisher may employ the professionals in-house or may engage them on part-time basis. The third thing is the publisher is also a refiner or a developer. When the writer develops the manuscript, at that stage, it becomes unsuitable. Nobody will be willing to read that particular piece. It only becomes attractive for reading when it is refined by the publisher. So when I talk of refinement, I'm talking about one, the content. The publisher engages the right editors to work on the content. It can be the general or macro editing. It can be copy editing, looking at the grammatical errors, and make sure that the content is suitable for the target readers. So that is the work of the publisher. He serves as a gatekeeping entity, making sure that whatever the writer put it in is not harmful to the target readers. And also, the publisher is an...
Before you go on what conditions would a publisher reject a story from a writer?
All right. Every publisher has their publishing policy and a house star. Publishing policy refers to the principles that govern the publications of the publisher. So there are some publishers who publish for only children. So when you bring any children's manuscript, that publisher can consider it. But when you send an adult novel for publishing, the publisher may not accept it because it is not part of his area of specialization. So the reason why many writers do not get certain publishers to publish their works is that they don't have any background understanding about the area of specialization of such publishers. Yeah, so that is one. And then two has to do with the issue of language. A publisher may decide to publish only in English. So when you send any other language as a writer to that publisher, it may not be considered. And then the third one has to do with the content of the manuscript. Sometimes when you send your manuscript to a publisher, the publisher assigns one of the editors, we call him commissioning editor, to look at the content and see if it is publishable. So once they assess the content...
By that, what do you mean? Do you take into consideration legal implication?
Yes, it's necessary. And no publisher will want to land himself into any trouble. So they look at all these things. And they also look at whether the book, when published, will be sold. Yeah, so they look at a number of factors based on the publisher's policy. So once maybe the editor reports to the publisher that, oh, this book, when we publish it, we may not get many people to buy, and so on and so forth, they may not publish. So there are a number of factors they look at. And sometimes when the content has some legal issues, they may inform the writer that, oh, your manuscript is very good, but we want you to change these things so that we can consider it for publishing. So there are a number of factors publishers look at before accepting the manuscript of a writer. And we also have different publishing models. Yeah, we have traditional model where the writer walk into a publisher and tell him, this is my manuscript, can you publish for me? The publisher will publish and give royalties to the writer when it is sold. The next one has to do with vanity publishing, where the publisher will take money from the writer and use his expertise to publish it for the writer. So in this case, there is not much limitation as compared to the traditional one, because in vanity publishing, it is the writer who is paying for the publication. And there is also no rejection. The publisher will work with the writer to ensure that it is published. And sometimes to the
Upon, thank you. I like how you are breaking down everything for us, but we don't have a lot of time here. So no, let me ask you this question. Let's go to the commercial aspect of it.
All right.
Are people really buying books?
I would say yes. Yes, in the sense that here we have educational and supplementary readers. Textbooks sell better than reading books. And even the selling of reading books is not entirely bad in Ghana. We have people who buy reading books. But the challenge is those in the rural areas do not have the interest. I don't know whether it's the purchasing power and so many other factors. They most of the time do not get their children and young adults owning copies of supplementary readers. It has always been those in the urban areas who buy some of the supplementary readers and read. But the purchasing of the supplementary readers is not like the textbooks. Yeah, some of them place priority on the textbooks without buying the supplementary readers. So I would say it is, people are buying books, yeah, but it can be enhanced, yeah, when the right structures are put in place for people to appreciate the relevance of books in human development.
Thank you very much. I think we should end here. We'll get in touch with you later on for another discussion. Thanks so much for your time this evening here on Joy 99.7 FM, Showbiz A to Z. So that was Ernest Upon, who is the Assistant Executive Secretary of the Ghana Publishers Association. Thanks so much for your time. Now, let me come to Oswald before I take a penny for. Oswald, we also have audiobooks, right? Not for people who feel lazy, who think me I can never read. Don't we have audiobooks?
There is Akko book. Let me take I'm a dozen. It should be commended for that pushing. It is not just because people feel lazy to read, but there are so many reasons why people don't read, and I think we need to bring them out. Some don't read because they do not know how to read. They do not even know how to observe punctuations and all of that. So they just read, just mention words. It's not because you can mention a word that qualifies you to read. So when you have the audiobook, for instance, it's able to help a guide on how to read. Then you know what punctuation stands for and how to even come with the pronunciation. Because when you are reading, it is just to yourself, not necessarily reading aloud. And so reading, I just want to make that point that audiobooks are not just for lazy people. Okay, it is in a way to help people master the art of reading.
Wow, lovely. Let me come to Uncle Ken. So this is a situation where we're trying to whip up the interest of reading among people, and this is as a result of what we saw this week. It's something we always talk about, but we are talking about it today because of the Yvonne Nelson's book. So I want you to summarize your thoughts from Yvonne Nelson's book to the reading culture, and then we say Ejariye.
Like I have said, I haven't read Yvonne's book yet. I have decided to wait till the Alabalu, the storm subsides, then in my own good time, I can read the book devoid of any, considerations here and there. Yes. But I must say that what she has done is to ignite the conversation. Maybe not the desire, like Chief is trying to say, not the desire for reading per se, but to ignite the conversation.
Yeah.
To talk about the need for people to read.
To write and read.
To write and read, yes.
Yeah.
You're right. To write and read. And I think that it's a good start.
So it's up to us to hold it
The,
on.
the issue is, Kwame, it's not easy to get people who have not been grounded in the art of reading to all of a sudden
Begin to read.
Okay.
Something has to get them interested
In reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
you know, and that's what we have to look out for. That's why I say that if we can ignite
I agree.
our show every Saturday 10 minutes
I agree.
for people to read poems, or open the phone lines for people to read to us,
and
with that we can still get people interested in it.
All right, lawyer Kwaku Yamwa Pencil. So yeah, we've come to the end of the show. Your submission. No, so please combine the two. From Yvonne Nelson's book to the reading.
Yeah, I think Yvonne Nelson's book is a good starting point for this conversation about how to ignite, the reading habit. We grew up in a different cultural environment where reading was virtually compulsory.
Exactly.
Because that was the only entertainment, that was the only world in which, indeed, my first girlfriend was from a book. My first girlfriend, you go and look for the book Lorna Doone. That was my first girlfriend.
You found her in a book.
That is all. I fell in love with a character in a book. And that's the point I'm making.
Okay.
That's how our world was when we were growing up.
Okay.
But now there are competing demands from all social media, and therefore the issue how to create an environment that will suit the changing circumstances of the times. And I believe that some of these suggestions that are coming up. When we were growing up, parents used to read to their children in the night. And with all the technologies, now you hand over a mobile phone to your child, and that becomes the child's world. And how that can make the child learn to read is another matter altogether. So therefore, if Yvonne Nelson has published this book that has ignited something on media, even for adults like us to look for the book, let our association of writers also take it out from there. What's a So I'm sure they also have the know-how to start these discussions, and I believe even discussion today at this station about ways of starting it from radio station. Yourself have told us how this station used to. There's nothing wrong with having to restart what used to be the case, and we are hoping that this will also compel the others in the industry, because Yvonne Nelson appears possibly to have been the trailblazer. Now let us see. Elsewhere, Sarko also publish his, and then he'll find an opportunity also to come back, and so forth and so on. Chatawale, all of them.
Some people are saying no woman should publish a book again.
For fear that she may tell the truth.
No woman from the creative industry. That's a joke, though. All right, so thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm not sure Chief and Oswald have any last words. Thank you very much.